Hello there, my very good friends, and a warm welcome, good afternoons to you all on this video, WWE Creative Shake-Up.
Could Malachi Black leave AEW?
AEW looks set to get some production upgrades.
And an AEW star is finally cleared to return. I'm Adam Wilborn.
And I'm Andy Murray.
And this is the After News.
Yes, sir. Let's talk, first of all, on this video about a bit of a personnel situation in the WWE Creative Department. A couple of long-time creative guys, Bruce Pritchard and Michael Hayes, they are currently on temporary leave from WWE, two very influential figures when it comes to WWE programming and television. They are expected back, although this is an indefinite time frame. This is a report from Big Dave Meltzer, the Shagger himself, as we used to call him.
Indeed.
He says this per Figure 4 Online, that's his website, all this stuff. Bruce Pritchard is taking time away, apparently due to a family emergency, so best wishes to him. And Michael Hayes' absence, is due to personal issues, so best wishes to him as well. There's no correlation between the two. They have happened at the same time, but apparently there's no connection between these two absences. People in WWE have emphasized as well that this isn't the old guard getting moved out, as people would speculate, and that they expect both to be back. So, I mean, Pritchard has been a guy in WWE since like 1987, the year I was born, for goodness sake. And Hayes, meanwhile, he's been in wrestling for decades as well. Big star as a fabulous Freebird back in the day. I was introduced to him through doing commentary on Sunday Night Heat back in the day as well. But Hayes in particular, he's had quite a hand-on role in like agenting the Bloodline matches. So maybe if you notice some changes to those, it might be because he's not there. But yeah, there you go. Two big-time names. Brother Love and Michael P.S. Hayes.
Mr. Bumbag himself.
Mr.
Fanny Pack, they call it over there, don't they?
I was trying to fit it into the Mr. Boombastic. Mr. Bumbag guy.
He wore it to a wedding, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did John Moxley once. Remember that?
Moxley can, anyway.
Yeah, he beat us up.
Interesting to see what happens going forward with this. Like you say, two major players in terms of WWE Creative. I don't know how long they've been away already for, but you haven't noticed a lot of changes. It does feel like it's not too much to panic about right now. It's not like right now is such a crucial time within WWE Creative. You can arguably pitch what's going to happen over the next month or so. It's the turn of the year that you really need your big people around for that, and hopefully whatever these issues are, they will be resolved by then. It's just for poor Triple H. If The Rock decides to come back now, he's lost a few of his generals there to stop him from saying, actually, we won't be doing that, and that. I'll be winning War Games single-handedly.
I mean, in fairness, Bruce Pritchard is a generational arse kisser, so he'll probably, even if he was there, he'll probably like, Dwayne, tell him. So who knows? But I wouldn't expect many major changes. We know people like Paul Heyman have a big role in like WWE's biggest storylines and stuff as well. So, and ultimately, Paul Levesque, Triple H, is the head of creative. So,
quietly confident on a Heyman return soon enough. I think it spoke volumes, if he is going to return, that they didn't utilise him on the big ECW NXT show.
Yeah, that was good. Like, I'm glad they didn't do that because he's been off for storyline reasons. If he came back just for a nostalgia pop, it would be like, okay, Paul.
I enjoyed last night's NXT. We'll be talking all about that and AEW Dynamite. The Wednesday Night Wars are back for 1 week, a little bit later on today on the podcast channel. But one of the big things that happened on AEW is an indication that perhaps Malachi Black might not be long for All Elite Wrestling. If you have seen the match, you'll know what I'm talking about. Bit of a weird finish to Malachi Black, Adam Cole. He sort of tried to get up, realised he was in a bit of bother, and then seemed to just accept his fate and say, go on, Adam, finish me off, sort of thing.
Go on, then.
Adam Cole nailed him, pinned him 1, 2, 3, and after the match, he rejects a handshake from Adam Cole, hugs him, and it was a bit of a sort of send-off angle, it seemed. Let everyone start speculating, of course, what was going on with this. So Fightful Select went out and found some more details about this. The word backstage in AEW is that Malachi Black's deal could end towards the end of 2024 or early 2025 if the options on that deal aren't exercised on AEW's behalf. You may remember way back in 2022, Tony Khan had said he had Malachi Black under contract for almost 5 years, but Fightful Select delving into those details, I've found out that some of them may be option years. So you think, okay, maybe it's a 2-3 year contract, but with options going forward, that would make sense that if both parties went, you know what, they've had a good time, but let's go our separate ways. Now, of course, you may remember also back in 2022, Malachi Black was linked with a return to WWE, and there was him and a few others I seem to remember. The speculation of like, will AEW force people to stick in their contracts? Will they let people go? Well, they stuck to their guns quite rightly. AEW, both parties have agreed to a deal, and they stuck to it. And just to clarify with the other direction this might be heading in, because I saw a lot of people saying, what happens now? Does Malachi become Alistair and go back to WWE? Some people even speculating whether Malachi Black could retire. Fightful Select saying that he's not expected to be retiring, which makes a lot of sense.
39 years old, yeah. Yeah,
It'd be nice to retire at 39.
Yeah, definitely. He's obviously had like a very serious back issue.
Yeah.
Or degrees of severity. Look, so with Malachi Black, I think a lot of people say a lot of silly things about this man online, right? Like, a lot of people assume that he's this crazy backstage politician with a massive ego, he doesn't want to lose, all this stuff. Or they assume he's just some kind of malcontent or whatever. I think that people just love jumping to conclusions on him, and I take any passionate criticism of this guy where like they love jumping into this idea that he doesn't want to lose and all this stuff, and they'll use finishes like last night as evidence. I take all of that at arm's length, and I don't take any of that seriously. I think he's a guy who really takes his work seriously, Malachi Black. You can tell that from the shape he's in.
Yes.
You can tell that from the elaborateness of the presentation. If you've ever listened to his interview, like any interview, but the Hardlore interview he did the other year, he goes into great detail on like tiny touches he puts into his gear and things like that. He's clearly a very, very invested guy in what he does. I would say that if his contract is due to expire at the end of the year or the beginning of next year, and he does want to go back to WWE, cool, let him go.
Yeah.
Let him go. I've always been of that opinion. If someone wants to leave, you just let them leave, because what's the point in keeping them around? If that's what makes him happy, let's do it. He's a guy who has been out for various periods of time, so they might end up extending it.
That's a good point.
And you think long term, okay, if Malachi goes, well, I think Brody King is absolutely awesome. I think Buddy Matthews, is absolutely awesome, and I think Julia Hart is absolutely awesome. I think they'll be fine. I will say that I saw a tweet from Justin Wang, who has like 4 million followers on every platform, the most successful man in the world. Shout outs to Justin, who tweeted like a few hours ago going, I was hanging out with Malachi Black recently. He's not quitting, he's not retiring. So there you go. It goes to show that with this guy, a lot of people just say a lot of really dumb assumptive things. And I think that really people should just leave him alone and let him do what he wants.
Yeah, and I can understand why he may want to return, particularly now to WWE with Triple H, who's always obviously been a big fan of his in charge. You sense if he did jump back, it would not be, right, let's get you resorted in NXT for a year and work out what we're doing with you. It feels like Triple H would be like, right, now I get my hands on you properly on the main roster, because last time it was like, right, sit on this pallet and went, oh, bloody hell, here he is.
It's the coffin. I will miss, if he does leave, I will miss his, he's got 9 theme songs, it's awesome.
Yeah.
He's got his singles theme, which is the Amon Ra song. House of Blacks is the Dead Body song. He's got the tag team, the Kings of the Black Throne, which is my personal favorite.
Yeah.
Buddy's got Twitching Tongues. Brody has God's Hate, and Julia has Colin Young and Emma from Dying Wish. They've got all the themes, and I love it. I love it. Personally, if I would go, I would have even more. I would have Julia and Brody get them a theme. Why the hell not?
Yeah.
Everyone gets a theme.
Yeah, not saying that Malachi, by any stretch of the imagination, or the House of Black has been holding him back, but it'd be very exciting to see what happens with Brody King going forward. I think Buddy Matthews may well follow Malachi Black back, considering Rhea Ripley.
Well, Buddy's just signed an extension.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So he's there for
well, he's going nowhere then. But Brody King, could just break off on his own, and a lot of us have been campaigning, especially since his performance in the Continental Classic last year, of course, for more of a singles push for him. So exciting times ahead.
Brody King should be pushed as the Vader of his generation.
Yes!
Vader in Japan, brother. Put him on top. He's the best. I love him. Right, let's talk now about some in-arena production changes that are getting changes that are getting changed. Well said, Andy. SVG News, there's an article they've published about some production truck upgrades that AEW has received.
Oh, fancy.
Since signing their new deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. Executive Vice President Mike Mansouri, he's a big production guy.
Yes.
formerly of WWE, now in AEW. He said that starting in 2025, AEW is to feature a sports-style presentation in arena that will entertain fans in attendance during breaks and the television broadcasts, just to make that experience for those in the house feel a bit more special. So I think that any production upgrades in AEW is a positive thing, personally.
Yeah, exactly. I think it'll make anything that makes the product look better. I think it's one of the big jarring things you can sometimes get when you watch wrestling is just like if there's production gaffes or whatever, and certainly if you're in attendance like that, it does just sort of hamper your experience of it all. Regarding arenas, what do you think AEW should be doing going into 2025? They're still doing like the 10,000 arenas, but doing a lot less than that in attendance.
Yeah.
Should they change up their strategy for that? Should they say, right, you know what we're going to do? Max capacity 3,000 arenas and really make it a bit of a cauldron and build up that excitement around us coming back. So hopefully the next time we're back there, we can go back into the big arenas. Or is that an admission of?
I think that they shouldn't worry if it's an admission of like, oh, we're smaller now or whatever. Like, that's just pride BS. I think, like, who cares? But I think that there's a perception that when wrestling shows in a smaller arena, viewers will tune out because they think it's like, whatever, like a thing not worth their time. So it's very risky. And the thing is, these arenas are often booked like up to a year in advance.
Yeah.
So like if they're making the decision now, it would be for like October 2025. So it's very, very difficult for them. And they've also got this massive set they need to fit in these buildings.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I mean, personally, as a viewer, I wouldn't mind a few smaller shows. So yeah, like I'd like that. Like I don't care if it looks like big or small. I just want good wrestling.
I like the little residency they did on Collision.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. Especially for Collision. Why not do a residency at like the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York? You know, like our center stage in Atlanta. They're fun places to go. But I would switch it up. It is risky though because it has to be. So like if you want to run an experiment, you book it a year out, you're kind of committing to a year of it, really.
Yeah.
This is like what you do after that. But yeah, difficult one. Dave Meltzer, say what you will about him, he got fooled by a fake tweet about the Tokyo Dome this week. But he's always been on the money in pointing out that when a promotion starts cooling off, it's the attendances that go first.
Yeah.
And when the promotion's heating up again, the attendances rise. So first and foremost, they need to find a way to get hot.
I agree. But yeah, and good to see that money already that they've got from the new TV deals being put to good use with regards to production improvements.
Yeah.
Right, let's finally talk a little bit about an AEW star who's finally been cleared to return. It's Mark Davis, of course. He's been back on our screens for the last few weeks with his involvement in the whole United Empire, Carl Fletcher, Will Ospreay thing. He's had a rough time of it, understandably. He last wrestled at Wrestle Dream 2023 for the World Tag Team titles against FTI, then underwent knee surgery. Always awful to hear when wrestlers have to go through stuff like that. I know you were talking about Eddie Kingston this morning on the news. Underwent knee surgery in May of 2023, but now Fightful Select Sean Ross Sapp confirming Mark Davis finally is cleared to return to a wrestling ring. As I mentioned, he's been heavily involved already in this Carl Fletcher new version protostar of him and the Will Ospreay storyline. More on that last night. Heavily involved, obviously, all in the main event. Very exciting conclusion to AEW Dynamite. But most importantly, very happy to hear that man can get back wrestling again. He was a lovely bloke to work with, first and foremost in WCPW. And him and Carl Fletcher have got a great history together. And I think he'll factor in really well in terms of what have you become, Kyle?
Yeah, I think I feel a bit bad for Mark, not just for the injury, but like in his absence, Kyle has become kind of this breakout single star in a lot of ways. So
credit to him for that, by the way, because a lot of people would have floundered losing their tag partner.
Definitely. And for years and years and years, something WWE would do under Vince is if a tag team partner was injured, that tag team, the other guy would just not get booked. It was like, see you later. Fortunately, that's not the case anymore. But it can be used to Mark's advantage in that with Kyle becoming a breakout heel, he can oppose him as maybe a breakout face.
Yeah.
So good. Like, I'm really glad he's back. Aussie Open have been one of the ascended tag teams over the past decade or so of wrestling. Long absence. It makes a lot of sense what they're doing with him now. I think that him and Kyle will be a really fun singles match if they go down that route. Maybe they'll do another swerve and heel turn. I mean, I wouldn't do that. I would try and build them both separately after you've done this feud. But yeah, good to see him back and wishing the best for him. Looking forward to his first match back.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how he interacts going forward with the likes of Will Ospreay, obviously, as I mentioned, who was part of that main event. And not sure if we've mentioned it in the morning news or not. Another big return on AEW Dynamite. If you want to know more about that, check out Ups and Downs later on today, or our AEW Dynamite review podcast as well. And while you're at it, why not check out this morning's news video, which is available
right here.
Boom.
Right
Shakalaka.
in your nose. Bye.